the more likelihood there is for shenanigans, which we don't want. So as much as possible, I'm going to communicate with you through the chat window. So just kind of keep your eye on that a little bit. You know, I'll make it obvious if something's going on. Down here, you'll see this thing called the share pod. Now, most likely, we're not going to be using that. All right, that's what we use for distance education courses where the professors are sharing documents or PowerPoint presentations, things like that. Because we're just capturing you teaching, it's probably a little bit beyond the scope of this project, but you'll see it there, but just don't worry about it. All right. So at this point, what we should probably do is get out these laptops and tripods. And I just want to pass out, you know, really there's no better way to kind of train on these things than just to do it. So what we're going to do is pass around these tripods. And I don't know how many of you have used tripods before. They're not particularly difficult, but they're all a little different. So it's just kind of good to get the hang of. Would you mind just passing these down the road? And we can all just kind of...
You got what, 10 total systems?
Yeah, we have 10 laptops and at least as many tripods. We should have one tripod per person. If there's not enough right now, we can kind of just you know, share. But there should be enough.
Do you want supervisors to also?
Yeah, do we have supervisors? We don't need traffic.
You know, you should, but I guess it just, you know, if you're curious and want to play around with it, you're welcome to if there's enough. But I'd say that's probably for now the students too.
Yeah. Okay, now, here's the thing about the tripods. You don't want to handhold the video, of course, but if you have a place where you can set the camera at a good spot, where it's steady and on you, you don't need to take the tripods with you. But this would be good now and then if you want to rotate and show class, or if there's a group activity, you want to show your supervisor that you introduced and stuff, the tripods work for that. But again, if you have a steady place that you are confident will show what needs to be shown, yeah, I don't know if you need the tripods.
Yeah, that's
really
a good,
handy to have.
that's a good point. You know, one thing I'd say is they're light, which isn't always the case. So they're fairly portable.
So very high end.
You know, I know obviously as teachers, a lot of times you have a lot of stuff, and you know, minimizing stuff is always a good thing. But this will enable you to be a little bit more mobile. The one thing which John's talking about, if you're sort of definitely going to be like sitting down or teaching in one spot, then any stable location for the camera is fine. But if you think you might want to move around and want the flexibility of being able to kind of follow yourself, then the tripods are a good idea.
Most people really like the tripods.
Yeah. One thing to remember is that for those of you who've ever shot a handheld video, you kind of get sick about 30 seconds into watching it. So tripods, you know, or any stable location such as John is describing, you definitely don't want to be constantly moving them or have somebody kind of following you around by hand unless they're, you know, working in Hollywood. So
if they're doing like a small group lesson for our class, like you're at the reading circle, a kidney-shaped table or something like that, you can probably just set it there and you'd probably be okay. But you know your kids too. If they're going to be bumping the table and all that kind of thing, you still might want to use the tripod.
yes.
Okay? The other thing that came to my mind is that you guys aren't going to have to do a separate video because we're already going to be videoing you here.
It's not
So,
taping.
right.
Video.
You need to make sure that you have parental permission for the students you're working with.
That's what I was going to say, like, do all the students need to bring it in, or is it kind of that same situation? If there's a student who doesn't want to be videotaped, they should always be, like, out, or?
If that comes up, why don't you talk to me,
Okay.
and we'll figure it out, how we're going to handle that.
In your school, though, there are families that want their kids out of the room, so they may miss instruction in the whole class.
Okay.
And you know, obviously teaching is an interactive process, but as much as possible, you know, you want the camera on you to the extent that you're not losing out on, you know, the interaction, obviously. But you know, I know that's obviously a tricky thing. But yeah, obviously that's a good point that you have to be aware of. Okay, so these tripods. I always find the best way to kind of open these up. You'll see the legs at the bottom here. They have kind of two clips, and if you just unclip, you can kind of pull down the legs. And I always go from the bottom up on these things, and then clip it back in to stabilize it. And before you put it on the ground, just do both of these kind of clippy things here. And then once you do that, you can just pull it. You can just pull the legs out, and you'll see that this thing kind of slides down.
Now notice on the bottom, with that little rubber coupling, you can screw it up so that like a pin sticks out. It's like a carpeting, is that what it's for?
Yeah.
Or for smooth surfaces, you use the rubber piece.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't have
Like
to
a
worry
little
about the
nail
rubber.
that can stick out.
They work fine on rugs or
Yeah, I don't think you need a nail stick.
No, no. So
Just screw that, because you'll see a little pointy thing sticking out.
now, in general, good maintenance of all equipment is always recommended. But whenever you're sort of taking these apart, or actually whenever you're putting them away, you'll see that there's a lot of screws located throughout the tripods. You always just kind of want to tighten it up so that things aren't flying around in your cars or anywhere you go. So now, here we have basically, you want to make sure to operate this part, that there's this kind of screw here in the middle. You want to make sure that this is loose. It's kind of this big round one right at the neck. That will enable you to use the crank here to wind the tripod up to whatever height you want. And you want to get it at about, you want the top kind of at nose or eye level, because, obviously you're going to put the webcam up here. And then once you get it to a height you want, you slide this piece back down here, the kind of neck, and just kind of screw it back on. Yep, looks like, okay, you're all there. And then this top part is your kind of level. And again, this piece tightens and untightens so that you're kind of stable. So you can see when I have it tight, it doesn't want to move. So I kind of loosen that.
These are pretty good ones, aren't they?
They're very nice. Yeah, very nice. Wayne did an excellent job getting equipment. All right. Now, each laptop bag will have in it a webcam that is already in a vise that's attached to the connecting piece of these tripods. So actually this thing I have here is extraneous at the moment. Please do not remove any of the connections here. So you will never unscrew this piece from the vise that holds the webcam. This is all one unit. And that was sort of a thing, intended to be a favored use that you have less things to deal with. Here at the bottom, is this kind of piece that goes in here. And the best way to open that up is just to kind of, it's spring-loaded. You just pull it out, and then you just have to fit the top piece in, and then kind of click it right back on.
No, James, I noticed a couple of them do have the cork.
Yes, and we'll take those out. The actual, we're going to pass out the laptops in just a second. And so just hold on to the existing piece that's plugged in. And I'm just going to, why don't we pass out the laptop bags and we'll just get booted up there. And,